Welcome back to Always Closing podcast. We have Heather here with us. She's a trust attorney. And Heather, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I do living trusts. I do estate planning, and I've been doing it for 7 years. Mm-hmm. And I love it. I have my own law firm, as you know. And I'm here in California, but I've also opened up a branch in Arizona. Schooling, I went to UC San Diego, so I got to enjoy the beach. And then I made a huge shift and moved all the way to New York, which was just such an adjustment for me. New York is cool, but I couldn't do it. I had to come back. So after graduation, I came back here, and I was working at a firm for a little bit, and then I just felt like the Lord was telling me to open up my own business. And so I really took that leap of faith, and I just took my last paycheck. I opened up my own law firm, and it started in my grandma's kitchen. And now it's growing. I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds of clients, and I love it so much.
That's awesome. And so why did you want to become a trust attorney?
Yeah, the funny thing is I actually graduated law school in 2012. Mm-hmm. Okay. I did not become an attorney until 2016. Oh, wow. Because after graduating, I just had this huge, maybe existential crisis where I was like, I can't be an attorney. I can't defend criminals. I don't want to do divorce. This is a terrible thing. Attorneys are terrible. And I totally ran away from the law. Mm-hmm. And it was maybe fear. I think I was just afraid of doing something that I wasn't going to enjoy, or maybe I even felt like I couldn't do it. I was just going through so much. I was young. I graduated at 25. So there's so much you don't know when you're that young. Now I'm able to look back at it and go, oh my gosh, there's so much you don't know. You're young. Mm-hmm. And so for 4 years, I actually worked at a job in LA that I hated. Okay. Hated. My boss was not the greatest to me. And I got to a point where I couldn't take it anymore. So I said, I'm going to go back and be a lawyer. If I'm going to deal with this, I might as well be a lawyer and be getting paid for it.
That's right.
And so I took the bar, and then I was kind of stranded going, well, what do I do, though? I didn't know what to do. I'm a lawyer. What do I do? I had no job. Really didn't know. And so I fell upon estate planning because I was looking for something that wasn't morally compromising. Mm. So for me, I wanted to do something that I didn't feel like when I go home at night, I'm going to feel guilty when I get into bed.
Yeah.
And estate planning was it. It was literally the answer. Mm-hmm. And so that's really how I fell into it, because I knew I was going to feel good about it every day. I wasn't going to feel guilty.
No, that's awesome, though, that you found that and knew, it was like your calling.
Yeah, so totally was. I love it.
That's really cool. So, you've been an attorney or a trust attorney since 2016, or? Well,
an attorney since 2016, but in 2016 I was helping my friend with her law firm, which was employment law.
Okay.
And then towards the end of that is when I started looking into what can I do, and that's when I fell upon estate planning. So then in 2017 is when I started doing estate planning.
Okay, so
the very beginning.
About 7 years now you've been doing it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So as far as estate planning, what is it that you enjoy doing about it the most?
I like when I have a signing meeting. I like when I hand my clients their estate plan. Mm-hmm. When I give them that binder, I always tell them, here's my gift to you. They always laugh. It's like a ha ha ha. But it's true, it is my gift to them, because this is going to protect multiple generations of their family from probate. This is going to provide guardianship. This might give them a special needs trust. This is protecting them in case they get Alzheimer's or dementia. There's so many things about that, and I feel so accomplished at the end of each signing. Right. Because I know that I've now protected another family, and my goal is, how many families can I protect?
Right.
I want to keep going. I'm young. I want to be doing this for 30, 40 years. And I want to know that at the end, when I hang up, my fancy coat, that I've done a good job and that I've helped a lot of people. That's really what I enjoy.
That's awesome. So when it comes to, estate planning and doing a trust, why would you recommend going to a trust attorney versus doing it yourself, or even doing it online?
Yeah, so a lot of people ask that question. So it's a valid question, because a lot of people, they're trying to avoid the high costs of an attorney. And I get that. I'm the same way. I'm like, what can I do myself? I'm totally a DIY person. So I do get it, but you don't DIY your life.
Right.
You're not going to do open heart surgery on yourself. Like, that's not going to happen. You're not going to, movies, they stitch themselves up, but usually people go to the doctor for stitches, right? Like, we're not going to take those things on ourselves. And so estate planning, or really anything legal, is not something you want to do yourself.
Right.
The funny thing to me is that I will always have people who call me and they go, so they don't want to tell me. They're like, and I'm like, yes, how can I help you? Well, I created my own trust. And I go, oh, and they go, but I don't think I did it right. Mm-hmm. Can I pay you to review it? And they go, so I always tell them perspective. I go, so you're going to pay me hourly to review your trust that I can probably guarantee you is not right. Mm-hmm. So now you've wasted 1 hour of payment. Now I'm going to have to redo your whole trust. Now you're going to have to pay me to redo it. And usually these people have paid like LegalZoom or Susie Orman or some other maybe online program, some sort of money to do it themselves. So now they've also lost that money.
Right.
So it really is more cost in the long run. Mm-hmm. And this happens a lot. I mean, so many people call me and they just go, I'm kind of freaking out here. I don't think I did this right. And so far, everyone I've reviewed, I've had to redo.
Oh, wow.
Because a lot of them, they're the one couple, they both had masters. Mm-hmm. I'm so proud. Look at our trust. And I'm like, then why am I here if you think you have a valid trust?
Right.
Just review it. It wasn't even signed.
Oh.
It wasn't dated.
Right.
It wasn't notarized.
Oh, yeah.
The property was still in their name.
Okay.
No witnesses on the wills. I said, you have a draft. They go, we don't have a trust. I go, you do not.
Yeah, and they couldn't even take that to court if they wanted to. It'd go to probate.
It would just be probated.
Yep.
So, I mean, what you don't know will hurt you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So as far as people doing that on their own and them coming to you, what type of things have you seen, like, that they've done wrong besides like not signing it or, getting it notarized?
I have a good one for you.
Okay, tell me.
Really good one. So, somebody I know who was smart and a business savvy, had their own business. I reviewed her trust for her. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, okay, I'm taking down who are the trustees that are listed. Okay, who do you have as your powers of attorney? That's what I always do. I want to see who are the people that this person is appointed to make sure, do they still want them? Mm-hmm. Right? Who are your beneficiaries? Do you still want them? Are things changing? Right. She didn't even know her trustees. I was like, wait, didn't you create this trust? She didn't know the names of the trustees, who they were. They were not people she knew. Beneficiaries were not her children. They were people she didn't know. Her
like
power
speechless.
I know. Her powers of attorney were people she didn't know.
Okay.
And so I was shocked. I was like, how?
Right.
You made this trust? You don't even know who's in it?
Right.
So we've come to the conclusion that it probably was the attorney had a template. Oh. And instead of doing control find and replacing, just gave her a trust with somebody else's information.
Wow.
And so not only did I offer to do it for a discounted price for her, I also offered to exchange services with each other to do it, and she still never fixed it. So that's a big thing I see with estate planning is people, they put it off. Oh, she's like, I'm busy. I emailed her and I said, you're busy? You have an estate plan that's going to go to people you don't even know.
Yeah, and you're not guaranteed tomorrow. That's for sure.
Her power of attorney, which means these people could go to the bank for her if she became incapacitated, were people she didn't know. Why wouldn't you change that the moment I told you?
Yeah. Wow.
People put off estate planning all the time, even in a situation as drastic as that.
Wow, that actually like blows my mind.
Yeah,
that
it blew my mind. I mean, even thinking about it now, I'm like, I think I'm going to shoot her an email. It's been like years. I'm like, I don't care if you came to me. Please tell me you fixed this.
Right.
Because it freaks me out.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. In real estate and what I do, escrow, what we see wrong is people doing their trust themselves and deeding the property into their trust. And when they created the trust, they may have created the trust in a wrong name. Mm-hmm. Then they put the deed in a totally different name than what they have their trust reading. So it's totally conflicting information. So when, the trustee passes away and that successor trustee goes to, sell the home and do everything, we have like a huge problem on our hands and we have to fix the title. Mm-hmm. So, we were talking earlier about the difference between a successor trustee and a beneficiary. Yeah. So can you tell us the differences between that? Because I found that very interesting that I didn't even know. And I was like, oh, I know everything.
So, like most women, we believe we know everything.
Of course.
So a successor trust, I always tell people to split it, because a lot of times clients, they will make their children the successor trustee and the beneficiary. And that's totally fine. But you have to, there are two separate roles. Okay. So a successor trustee is the person that you are appointing after you pass away to step in and administer the trust for the benefit of the beneficiaries, which could be the same person. Okay, but what I tell people is, imagine a scenario, even if your kids are adults, that they're minors for a minute. So your minor children cannot be successor trustee, but they definitely can be a beneficiary. So who do you appoint? You appoint a different person as successor who is an adult, and they're doing it for the benefit of the beneficiaries.
Right.
Okay, so very separate roles. A beneficiary just inherits. That's it. They don't have a job to do. But a successor trustee has a job to do, which could take years if minors are involved.
Right.
If there's a special needs trust involved. Or even if there is adults, but we like to break things down for our young adults. And so many of my clients will do maybe a fourth at 18, a fourth at 21, a fourth at 25, and final at 30. Meaning, if parents pass away, successor trustee does have to manage the trust until the last beneficiary is 30 years old.
Yeah.
So it still could be a job for a long time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So as far as, you mentioned that there's a disability trust. So there's different types of trust. There's just not a
like living trust?
Yeah, just a living or revocable trust. What other types of trusts are there?
So the standard one that most people get is they're going to get a revocable or living or family trust. It's all the same thing. Okay. It all means the same thing. And that just means that the people that have created it, they have the right during their whole lifetime to amend the trust. So they can add to it, they can change it, they can revoke it if they want to.
Right.
Okay. Then you have an irrevocable trust that upon creation, it can't be amended.
Right.
Okay. So it not that it can't, but it's really, 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 really hard to break apart an irrevocable trust. People will sometimes create those because maybe they're afraid of being sued.
Right.
And so they're trying to create a trust that the hands off, right? I don't do those kind of trusts. There's a lot of issues with them. They're complicated. They're going to be more expensive. There's a lot of liability. Because think of it right now. If you say, I want an irrevocable trust, when you create it, you're basically saying you don't even own your home anymore. You don't own your bank accounts anymore.
Wow.
You've given up everything you own to a named person, and you're trusting them to manage it for your whole lifetime. For your lifetime.
That's crazy.
So that's why we don't like to do those.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one other one. And then there's a special needs trust created right now. So this is like a special one where a lot of people will call me and go, hey, turns out my child had a disability. We sued the hospital. It was because of the hospital, so they're getting a bunch of money. But the money actually has to be put in the special needs trust because of their disability.
Right.
So it's one that's created right now. Somebody's going to manage it for the benefit of that child during their whole lifetime. We also don't create those. There's a lot of special laws and requirements. You need a specialized attorney because they change rapidly. And if it's one word is wrong in there, your child could lose all their government benefits.
Wow.
So that's another type of trust. Okay. However, when we create a revocable trust during my client's lifetime, so again, if you were my client and you said, hey, my daughter, her ADHD is so bad that they've actually said she probably can't work. She's actually going to start getting disability. Okay, so then we go, all right, well, we need to protect her when you pass away. So in your trust, we put special needs trust provisions that say when you pass away, your trustee never gives the money outright to your daughter because we don't want her to lose her benefits. Your trustee takes care of your daughter with the money you've left behind.
Oh, okay.
So it's a shielding. Right. So whenever I meet with clients, I ask them, do your children have any disabilities?
Right. Yes. I know. I remember that.
Yeah. There you go.
She's my trust attorney. So, but on top of that, how do you know the successor trustee is going to do their job when you pass and they're going to, continue your legacy per se, or not so much your legacy, but your finances and take care of everybody that you've appointed to be taken care of in your trust?
The shorter answer is you don't know.
You don't.
You don't know. Like, people will go, well, I don't know. And I go, I don't either.
Yeah.
Like, I can't guarantee to you that the person you appoint is going to do something. One, because I probably don't even know them.
Right.
So I can't guarantee 100%. I tell my clients, appoint somebody you trust. I mean, That's really all you can do. Trustees are liable for willful misconduct or gross negligence.
Okay.
That's in the trust. It says if they are doing things that they're not supposed to do, successor trustees and beneficiaries can have them removed.
Okay.
So they can be brought to court. They can be held accountable. They can be removed from the trust. They can be forced to pay back if they've, squandered money or stolen it or things like that. But at the end of the day, do you really know? You don't.
Yeah.
You do the best. We do the best that we can. And I tell my clients, if you find out later on that this trustee you've appointed is bad, then come to me right away and we'll remove them.
Right, exactly.
But once you're gone, you're stuck. It's up to really the beneficiaries. But the beneficiaries do have a legal right, if they feel like the trustee is doing something wrong, to say something.
Do you think it would be in the trustee's best interest to give a copy of the trust to their beneficiaries and the successor trustee? So in the case that a successor trustee doesn't do what they're supposed to, at least the beneficiaries have that copy of that trust so they can bring it to court and they have that proof. And
you mean like the person that's created the trust?
Yeah, that created the trust. Yes, the person created the trust.
Yes and no. Some clients like to keep everything close to the chest.
Right.
They don't even want their kids to know what money they have. They don't want other family members to know, like say they've appointed somebody and they're like, I don't need them to know this right now. So a lot of clients don't do it.
Right.
The other concern is, amendments happen throughout people's lifetime. And
That's
so
right.
say you've created this trust in 1999, but then in 2010 you've amended it and you never gave that updated one to these people. You've disinherited these beneficiaries. Well, this old beneficiary from 1999 says, I'm a beneficiary. I have a trust that says so, not knowing that in 2010 there was an amendment made that actually removed them. So yes and no. Really, you're supposed to notify trustees and go, hey, you've been appointed, here's a copy. But a lot of people don't, and I get that. It's because the amendments can cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, it can.
And
You're
also
right.
people are they want to keep it confidential.
Yeah, it's private.
Trusts aren't filed for a reason. They're confidential.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I guess, where I'm kind of leading. Why aren't they recorded like a grant deed, against, a home? Like, wouldn't you think that would be in the best interest of the person creating the trust for their beneficiaries, having that, recorded for the courts?
Yeah. Yes, in theory, but here's an example that I always give because people ask, why is it not filed? And I go, think of it this way. I have multiple kids, right? And so say in my trust, it says that my 3 sons, they're going to each inherit $500,000. Okay, now I filed it at the court. Guess what little gold digger gets to go look up and see what trusts are available? Oh, this guy, let me find him on Facebook. He's going to inherit money. He's going to get a house. He's going to get a business. I'm going to start dating him.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Right?
I would have never.
I know, I'm crazy. I think about this kind of stuff. I'm like, don't be trying to date none of my kids, all right? But that's a big example I get is like, you're basically letting everybody know what your children are going to get, which makes them a target.
Right, yeah, you're right. Just putting that money out there for everybody to see. Creditors, people, people who want to sue you. Oh, let me jump in front of their car, let them hit me because I know they have a trust and there's a ton of money in it. But that could kind of be the same thing with a home. People, own a home. $1 million home. Hey, they obviously have money. They could afford a home. So, I guess I could see both sides of the coin on that.
But how many people are house poor? Yeah. How many people, their house is the only thing they have, and they're literally living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. So they may not even be rich. It's just all of their money is tied up in their home. And California has a homestead anyways, which protects a large portion of the home from being taken anyways, because we have an incentive to make sure people aren't homeless.
Right.
If you lose the only place that you have to live, now you're homeless, now you may lose your job, now you're on government benefits, and you're collecting, there's so much more drain to the society for something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so pretty much, you've been doing this for a while, and, do you have any other stories or nightmares to share with people? At least just one. I know you could probably go on and on, but just to give people an idea that, getting a trust is beneficial to them. Again, I know we spoke earlier about the pros and cons, and you said there are no cons, and I agree with you. There are no cons in getting a trust. Yeah. There's only,
only good that can happen.
Good things that can happen.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So people always ask me, what are the cons? I'll have people call and go, okay, well, I'm thinking about getting a trust, but I need to know what the cons are. And I go, there isn't a con.
Right.
When you create the trust, guess what? You actually still own everything. The house is still yours. Your bank accounts are still yours. Your life insurance is still yours. You can control the trust during your whole lifetime. So it's not like, oh no, I've done this big thing that I can't change and I'm stuck and now I can't sell my house and now I can't get a new bank account. No, you're still in control of everything.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, so there isn't a con, maybe the price, but I mean,
it's still your protecting.
Probate's way more,
yes.
so, which really comes to the pro.
So much more work with the probate.
Oh yeah, and so the pro is having a trust is the mechanism that we use to avoid probate. And so that's really the main pro, because probate is expensive in California. For most people, what I say is, say your estate is worth $500,000. When nobody's is now. If you have a house, it's worth more than that, because it's pre-debt, by the way, if you didn't know. So people will go, well, I don't have a lot of money. I've got a $900,000 home, but I owe $800,000 on it. So I really only have $100,000. I go, no, you don't. You have $900,000. They go, how? I said, it's pre-debt. Pre-debt. So now probate, they're going to go, oh, $900,000 estate. We're going to charge you $60,000 to $70,000 in probate.
Wow.
But you're going, but I only have $100,000 equity. So think of it this way. There was only $100,000 equity left for your kids, but probably just cost $70,000.
It's like
so now there's only $30,000 left for your family. When you could have got, what, a $3,000 trust?
Right. Yep.
You know, so that is the main pro, is avoiding probate.
Yeah.
The other one is Medi-Cal estate recovery. So a lot of people don't know this, and Medi-Cal does send a mailer in the mail, right? They send you a letter that says when you're on Medi-Cal estate recovery. So they do warn people. It's usually on a yellow piece of paper. And basically what it is Medi-Cal is free if you qualify, okay? But when you die and you go to probate, Medi-Cal is one of the first liens that gets put on your assets.
Oh, wow.
And so what happens is mom and dad were on Medi-Cal for 15 years, so they owe maybe $1.5 million from both of them, maybe their nursing care facilities, all that stuff. So the Medi-Cal goes, oh, well, we would like all of their assets. And guess what happens? Bye-bye. So Medi-Cal takes all your assets from you.
And a trust would protect that?
Correct. So Medi-Cal is not free. They're going to get their money.
Right.
But if you have a trust, because the home didn't go through probate, therefore no lien was put on the property, Medi-Cal cannot obtain the assets. There's all other little quirks. Let me tell you how crazy it is. Medi-Cal makes its own laws. So they have their own little law that they snuck in there, which is, well, hold on a minute. You have to have the trust. It used to be 5 years minimum.
Okay.
Now they've reduced it to 2.5.
Okay.
So say mom and dad are like, hurry, I'm going to die, create a trust. They die the next day, Medi-Cal will probably be entitled to part of the estate, if not all of it, because they need to have it for 2.5 years.
Okay.
Right? And there's other quirks that we're not going to get into, but the main thing is I tell people, you know, for my clients who come to me who parents are alive but elderly, I go, you know, if they're on Medi-Cal, you might want to get them in here for a trust. They should get in anyways, but.
You know, and it's so funny that you're saying all this, because we recently had a file where the parents were in a trust and they took themselves out of the trust because so they could get Medi-Cal.
Makes sense.
They said that they couldn't get it showing that they owned a home and that they gave all the property to their 9 kids, not siblings, but their kids. And first of all, they did their trust by themselves, wrong. Ugh. They put it in the wrong name on the deed. It's just a huge mess for us to clean up. But obviously them doing it on their own, they didn't know that if they had a trust and they kept it in the trust, they still could have gotten Medi-Cal and it would have protected their property. Yeah. You know, so who knows if Medi-Cal might come after them now.
Yeah, so there's a few things with that. First, so Medi-Cal's requirements, and again, I'm not like a Medi-Cal specialist, I can just tell you general. You can get on Medi-Cal with a home. Having a home does not keep you from getting on Medi-Cal, right? People have to live somewhere.
Right.
It's multiple homes.
Got it.
So if I have my main home, but I've got 2 rentals in Havasu, and even though my income is less than $2,000 a month, which I would qualify, okay, but they go, no, you have 2 rentals. You need to liquidate those first, because that's money that you can use to take care of yourself. We don't need to take care of you, and that makes sense. Yeah. That's valid, okay, but your main home, no. So that's a big misconception. People go, oh, I own a home, I can't get on Medi-Cal. No, you own multiple homes, you can't get on Medi-Cal.
Okay.
You have to be under the threshold of like $2,000 a month, and then you can have a main home. You can even have a vehicle.
Right.
Again, you have to get to your doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
You have to be able to go to the grocery store. So they don't go, we want you to be completely destitute, then we'll provide you Medi-Cal, which you probably won't even use because you're homeless.
Yeah, so
Okay,
what's the point?
So that's not true. That is not true at all. But what they do is if you're trying to get on Medi-Cal, Medi-Cal does a research of all your assets.
Right.
And they go, oh, you thought you were smart and you just deeded all these assets to hide from us? They could decline you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's really bad to just deed out your property and then try to hop on Medi-Cal because they're going to look at that transfer.
Right. They have access to that. I mean, like,
it's foolish. They should have paid an attorney. They could have paid me for 1 hour and I would have told them 1, 2, 3, you're done.
yeah, exactly.
But they didn't want to do that.
Yeah. But
It's a mess.
it is a mess. But, you know, with that being said, I mean, all this information has been so useful. I just hope everybody out there, you know, gets a trust attorney and don't do it on your own. Don't go online. Don't think you know it all. If you have a degree, you may still do something wrong. Hire a professional. And with that being said, I mean, how can people contact you, Heather, if they want to get a trust attorney?
They should definitely contact me. Via email is good. It's going to be Heather at heatherlynnlaw.com. Also, phone is good, 909-347-7277. And that's also the same number for Arizona as well. And I check my emails. I mean, middle of the night, I'm checking my emails. So.
Oh, yeah. And then I totally forgot you do have an office in Arizona.
Yeah.
So did I mention that?
No, I mentioned it, though.
Okay.
It's
but
the
yes.
same number, same email.
Yeah. So she also has her license in Arizona as well as in California. So, I mean, if you're in Arizona and you're watching this, I mean, give her a call.
Yeah, or if you're in California and you're relocating to Arizona,
there you go.
Half the people we know, all my family relocated. So
yeah, so
you know.
Well, thank you so much, Heather. I
definitely.
do appreciate your time and coming here and talking with me about this has been very useful information. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And you have a good day.